Ethan had never been a pessimist, but blind dates had gradually pushed him in that direction. After 5 no-shows, 2 accidental meetups with scammers, and 1 woman who spent the entire evening talking to her dog on FaceTime, he had officially lost faith in romance. But Claire, the woman he matched with last week, had been different. Their chats hadn't felt like interviews or forced small talk. She asked questions, shared embarrassing stories first to make him comfortable, and even remembered his favorite sci-fi author. For the first time in years, he was genuinely excited to meet someone. Which was why sitting alone at a small restaurant table, 35 minutes past the agreed time, felt like someone had slowly pulled the air from his lungs. He checked his phone again, pretending not to notice the waitress giving him that familiar sympathetic smile, the kind reserved for lonely patrons and people clearly being stood up. His fingers hovered over the messaging app, refreshing the screen for the 10th time. Still no new messages. Maybe she got cold feet, he thought. Maybe she saw me walking in and realized I'm shorter than she imagined. He could hear laughter from the couple seated nearby. A young pair feeding each other dessert. An older couple bickering over how spicy the food was. He couldn't help but imagine how ridiculous he must look, sitting alone with a glass of water, trying to act like waiting this long had been his plan all along. The restaurant interior didn't help. Soft golden lights, cozy booth seating, acoustic music playing just loud enough to be romantic but not enough to drown out the sound of clinking cutlery. It was the kind of place designed for hand-holding over candlelight, not solitary reflection over ice water. He cleared his throat and waved at the waitress. "Hey, I'll just take the check." She nodded softly, the pity in her eyes unmistakable. He hated that look most of all. As she walked away, Ethan sighed and leaned back in his chair. That's it, he decided. Last blind date, I'm officially retiring from modern romance. Just then, the bell above the entrance rang. Instinctively, he glanced toward the door, expecting to see a couple arriving, or maybe Claire finally walking in, flustered and apologizing. Instead, a little girl, no taller than the hostess stand, walked in with a determined stride. She wore light-up sneakers, a purple dress covered in cartoon kittens, and a pink backpack hanging from one shoulder by a thread that looked like it had survived several repair attempts. She looked around the restaurant with the seriousness of a detective surveying a crime scene. Ethan blinked. She spotted him, and marched straight toward his table. People turned to watch. She stopped right beside him, placed both hands on her hips like a very tiny lawyer prepared to present a case, and asked in a crystal-clear voice. "Are you Mr. Ethan?" He froze. Yes." She exhaled dramatically like she'd been holding her breath. "Good. My mommy's really sorry she's late." Ethan stared at the little girl as if she had just informed him she was his court-appointed emotional support companion. Her confidence was startling. For someone who barely reached his elbow, she carried herself like she ran the establishment. Before he could respond, she pulled out the chair across from him with surprising strength, climbed up with the grace of someone used to improvising, and sat down like she had been expected all along. "My mommy said if you're a gentleman, you won't leave," she declared as she began adjusting the salt and pepper shakers into perfect alignment. "Are you a gentleman?" Ethan coughed, both amused and bewildered. "I try to be." "Good." She nodded approvingly. "Mommy says that's rare." He couldn't help but laugh under his breath. The waitress, now returning with the check, paused mid-step, eyes widening as she took in the new development. Ethan raised a reassuring hand. "It's all right," he mouthed. The waitress smiled, relieved, and retreated with a silent good luck. Ethan turned back to the strange, tiny emissary. "So, your name is Lily." She said it with pride, as if it were a name that carried great historical importance. "Well, it's nice to meet you, Lily. Do you know where you're?" "Yes," she interrupted. "In the car. There was a flat tire." Then she helped a lady whose dog ran into the road. Then her phone died, and she said, "Oh no. Mr. Ethan will think I'm a turd." Lily giggled like this was the funniest insult ever invented. Ethan blinked. She called herself a turd. Lily nodded solemnly. "But not a stinky one. Just a regular kind." He laughed out loud despite himself, earning another curious glance from nearby tables. "Well, I appreciate the clarification." With all seriousness restored, Lily leaned forward. "She said I have to make sure you don't leave. She told me, Lily, use your charm." "Oh boy," Ethan muttered, amused. "And is this the charm?" "Yes," she said confidently, then pushed a napkin toward him like she was initiating a business deal. Do you want to see my drawing of a unicorn eating spaghetti? Absolutely, he said without hesitation. She beamed, unzipped her half-broken backpack with a flourish, and pulled out a crumpled sheet of paper. It was exactly as described, an aggressively rainbow-colored unicorn sitting at a table, twirling spaghetti with its horn. This is, honestly, remarkable, Ethan said with a straight face. I know, she replied, chin high. I'm gifted. Ethan found himself relaxing, the humiliation he'd been drowning in completely evaporating. The situation was absurd, but strangely perfect. He hadn't expected company tonight, especially not 3-foot-tall comic relief, but somehow, it was better than eating alone. So, she said, tapping the menu. Do grown-ups order dessert first when they're sad, or is that just movies? Ethan thought about it. I think we can make it a rule. Lily gasped dramatically. Then we must order immediately. Mommy will be proud I saved the date. Ethan smiled. You already have. Lily's legs swung beneath the chair as she slurped chocolate ice cream like she was in a life-or-death race with the melting. Ethan had ordered a slice of cheesecake he didn't even like, only because Lily had declared it the most romantic dessert, which apparently mattered for the vibe. He still wasn't sure how a 6-year-old knew about vibes, but he wasn't about to argue with a certified unicorn art prodigy. Do you have a job? Lily asked between spoonfuls. Yes. Do you wear a suit? Sometimes. She narrowed her eyes. Are you a villain? Ethan burst out laughing. Not yet. Before she could continue her rapid-fire interrogation, the bell above the door chimed again. This time, Ethan didn't glance up casually. He knew who it was. A woman rushed in, frazzled, breathless, cheeks flushed from the cold air. She wore jeans and a cream sweater smudged with something that looked like engine grease. Her hair, once probably perfectly curled, had surrendered to chaos. But her eyes, wide, warm, and fiercely apologetic, found Lily first. Lily, she hissed in a whisper shout. What did I tell you about talking to strangers? Lily pointed dramatically at Ethan. He's not a stranger. He's important. The woman froze. Slowly, she turned toward Ethan, mortification creeping up her face like rising flames. You must be Ethan, she said, voice layered with embarrassment and exhaustion. I am so, and I mean so, sorry. I promise I don't normally send my child to handle my dates like a PR representative. Ethan stood, smiling. If you did, your success rate would be unbeatable. She laughed nervously, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. I swear I left with plenty of time. Then the tire blew out. Then a golden retriever ran into traffic, and I couldn't just let the dog get hit. Ethan finished softly. I get it, she blinked. Relief washed over her expression like a tide. I really didn't want you to think I stood you up. He glanced at Lily, who was now wiping melted chocolate on the table like an abstract painter. Your messenger made sure I didn't. Claire, because now she was finally real, sighed in gratitude. Thank you for waiting, and for entertaining Hurricane Lily. I prefer Agent Lily, the tiny voice corrected without looking up. Claire groaned. You're not an agent. Lily raised her spoon like a sword. I am now. They all laughed. The waitress approached timidly. Should I get another seat? Claire hesitated. Oh, I don't want to intrude if. Ethan answered before she could finish. Please, sit. Claire sat. Lily clapped like a sports commentator announcing overtime. For a moment, they simply existed in silence, awkward, expectant, hopeful. Then Ethan spoke. Well, since Lily says this is already the best date ever. Second best, Lily corrected. The unicorn spaghetti date was first. Claire groaned into her hands. Ethan grinned wider. Then I guess we'd better try to catch up. Claire looked at him. He looked back. Something clicked into place, quiet, unexpected, terrifyingly natural. And for the first time in a long time, Ethan no longer felt like he was waiting. He had already arrived.